Hey guys, welcome back to The Unshakable Founder. My name's Josh, and I am a mindset coach, and this is my journey to 10K months. At least, that's my first milestone. I've got my notebook here with me, and for those of you who are joining me for the first time, I just share my thoughts and experiences, what I've been going through over the past week, related to my business, my mindset, everything. I let everything out, so you guys know exactly what I'm going through, and kind of what it takes to build a successful, consistent income business, coaching business. This is hard, you guys. This is really hard. Anyone who tells you it's easy is lying to you. And I think the biggest thing that I experienced this week, and I'll share what it is in more detail a little bit later, but the biggest thing that I came up against was myself this week. And I'll talk about what I mean, but just so you guys are aware, like the three topics I'm going to cover today are this idea that we all have a stage to speak from. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. The second thing is self-doubt creeped in with me. Despite being a mindset coach and promising basically unshakable confidence, even I am susceptible to self-doubt. But luckily using my own exercises, I can kind of come out of it pretty quickly. At least I feel like I'm coming out of it pretty quickly. And then the last thing is I'll be talking about how important community is. I tapped into the coaching community that I'm a part of, and it was incredible to get insight and feedback from people much more successful than I am currently, but just hearing how the things that I'm going through are just so relatable to some of the things that they experience themselves. So without further ado, let's dive in. Let me open my notebook, and I'm going to jump into the first thing. So what I wrote here was, we all get a stage to speak from. The world we currently live in is pretty incredible, if you so choose to look at it that way. Now, what I mean by that is we all have access to the internet, or at least probably 99% of us have access to the internet. And one of the things I realized this past week and a half, is that we all have a stage to speak from. And in my mind, this is what I was picturing. So imagine like a really crowded outdoor area with an auditorium kind of just placed in the middle of all these people. That auditorium is specifically for you. It's designed for you to speak your thoughts, your beliefs, your opinions about literally anything. And we all have access to this auditorium. We're all given an auditorium and a stage to speak from. Now, this is what I'm picturing in my head. And this is what I kind of visualized and imagined. So you've got all these people, like think of like a fair, or like a carnival, or just some event or something that just brings a lot of people, and there's constantly a lot of people around your building. And you've got a stage, right? You've got a stage, you've got the auditorium, and the doors are open. And you can go to that stage and speak about literally whatever you want, whenever you want. That's what I'm doing right now, speaking from my stage, at least one of my stages. Each social media platform is its own stage, with different types of people kind of circulating around. But so you've got this building, you've got this stage, you've got the doors open, people are outside kind of walking in front of your building. And as you speak from the stage, you might start to get the attention of people that are walking outside. They hear you, they get a glimpse of something that you're saying, and you hook them in. So they walk into your auditorium and they hear you speaking from the stage. And if they're interested in what you're saying, maybe they give you a follow, or they subscribe to you, or whatever else actions they can do to hear more about what you have to say. Now, the thing about this is there are so many of us that are overly concerned about getting the the likes, the followers. We're overly concerned about just reaching as many people as we can so that we can make money ourselves. And I see this the most on TikTok. People don't really care about other people. They just care about getting the likes, the follows, the comments, the saves, so that they themselves can make money. They can sell stuff that people don't need, if I'm quite frankly honest. Stuff that people don't need so that they themselves can benefit from the what's the word I'm looking for? Naivety of others. Naivety. And I think it's really important to consider that just because we all have a stage to speak from doesn't mean that you shouldn't consider what you're saying from this stage. Because you, without you kind of realizing it, are having an impact on other people's lives. And it's important to kind of pick a message or choose a message that will help other people. That's kind of all I have to say about that. Like, people are just too overly concerned with the wrong things. And I think if you stick to a specific message, if you stick to a certain theme, you're going to attract all of the right people, for one, and then two, you're going to have the impact that you're looking to make. I'm not here because I am looking to extract money from you. I'm here because I want to share my real experiences. And this kind of goes back to, I guess, what I was talking about a little bit last week and the week before about having, personal and professional objectives with everything that I do. Personal being wanting a better life for my family, being able to experience more things without having to worry about money all the time. Because we worry about money. We're not financially free, and that's one of the things that I'm working towards. I can't tell you how often I go outside and I feel the fresh breeze. I'm not working full time. I am working full time in the coaching business, but I'm not working a traditional 9-to-5 job. And when I go outside and I feel that fresh air, there's this sense of like calm, but in the back of my mind, I'm worried because the last 2 months I've brought in no income. And I want to eliminate that worry by speaking from my stage, but being intentional about what I talk about. Because I think people don't talk about the reality of what it's like to build a coaching business at a time when, yes, it is overly saturated, but it is overly saturated with mediocrity, unfortunately. Lots of people getting burned, lots of people taking advantage, and not enough people who actually want to make a difference, make an impact, inspire people to change, that have the confidence to do so. Because I've seen, good coaches that quit because self-doubt creeps in, or their confidence dips, or they just don't believe it's possible for them because they haven't broken through the limiting beliefs that they've been telling themselves over the course of years. And that was me for some time. I worked many years wanting to get out of architecture, but the story I was telling myself is it's just not possible for you, unfortunately. And it took me time to break out of that. And my program, the Unshakable Founder System, really helps condense down that time and provide a framework, a system for people to break out of those mindsets. Especially, my target audience is first-time founders who are struggling with self-doubt and, questioning whether or not this is really possible for them. And so if I can reach the right people from this stage, from my platform, and inspire them to take that step even if it's not working with me, but even better to work with me so that I can improve my system, so that I can impact more people, inspire people to change their own lives. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that you need to consider what it is you're using your platform for. And we have enough distraction. We have enough entertainment. I guess this is partially entertainment because if I crash and burn, you're going to see that. And it honestly feels like I've been crashing and burning. But that's not what I'm trying to, that's not the main thing that I'm trying to get across here. Just be considerate of what you're using your stage for. We all get a stage. Some of us choose not to use it, but those of us that feel we have a message to deliver, that have a mission to accomplish, you can use that stage for wonderful things, for huge impact. And we need to acknowledge that. The second thing on my list here is self-doubt creeps in. And I also wrote, I work on mindset daily. I'm a mindset coach, and I know the importance of keeping your mindset sharp and mastering your mindset. For those of you who aren't as familiar with mindset, there is a whole slew of different mindsets, and there's fixed mindsets, there's growth mindsets, and there's different categories too. There's mindset on money, mindset on success, mindset on there's a whole bunch is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I work on mindset daily. But the thing that brought on the self-doubt that I experienced was I went through one of my own exercises where I tried to identify all of the things that I feel are holding me back from needle moving objectives or needle moving actions in my business. And so I narrowed it down to the top 3. The first one was a misalignment with my niche and my offer, what my primary outcome is. The second thing was, what was the second thing? Did I write it down? The second thing, I don't think I wrote them all down. So feeling misaligned, I talked about that. Oh, avoiding the needle moving action was the other thing. And that was because of the misalignment. And then doubting that I can deliver the results. And I took some time over the past week and a half to gain clarity on this. And what I landed on really helped me build that confidence back up again. And now I'm ready to, I'm in the process of kind of refining the outline of my program, and that's nearly complete. Then to really refine my offer, what my main outcome is, who it's for, who it's not for, things like that. And I'm getting really close. I'm going to promote this thing kind of relentlessly until I get in 5 to 10 people. I'm shooting for 10, but 5 would be great, so that I can start to improve this program so that it eventually, what my goal is to turn this into a kind of do-it-yourself course for people who can't quite afford my fee once I get this at a high percentage rate of delivering results that I say I'm going to get my clients. Once I get it to a certain place, I'm going to increase my prices, of course, because I want to charge what the value of this is worth. But then I also want to give the option for people to kind of go through this self-guided course. My watch is going off. Oh, I burned 2,000 calories. I want to build a course so that people can go through that by themselves with my support, of course. It's just not as intensive as doing private one-on-one coaching with every single client. But right now, I am prepared to do 100 one-on-one private sessions with people over the course of the next few years, just to refine this thing down to the essentials that people need to get results. And so who this is for, that I've kind of refined over the past week and a half, is for first-time founders making less than 10K months that are still working their 9 to 5, and they're stuck. They can't grow any further. And the primary reason is because they are their biggest bottleneck. I experienced this myself multiple times, and I've developed a system to help people break out of that. And I'm really excited about this system because I'm using bits and pieces of it myself on a daily basis, just to make sure that I can tailor this for busy people, right? Because these people are working 9 to 5s, likely have families. And so I need to break this down into easily digestible assignments or, guides that people can use and do within 15 to 30 minutes. Because oftentimes, we're busy. We have busy lives. And I want to make sure that this is not only effective, but realistic for how busy people are. And that's going to take me time to polish and to refine so that it is as effective as it possibly can be. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm gonna and beyond that, I would love to be a speaker. And so, me being here, sharing my thoughts, sharing my experiences, sharing what I'm working on, all of this is building toward other opportunities. And I just am, honestly, I'm really excited about where this could lead into the future. I know that if I keep doing this, other opportunities are going to open up to me. And I can't predict what those opportunities are going to be, but I know they're going to be exciting, and I know that they're going to get my message out there. They're going to help me move my mission forward. And they're going to change not only the lives of you guys, but my life and my family's life. And that's ultimate fulfillment and success for me. What are we at? We're at 17 minutes. Hey, I'm not doing too bad. I'm on my last topic, okay? So the last thing here is very simple. Community is powerful. I touched on this a little earlier, but I reached out to a few of the coaches that are in the same program that I'm in. They're doing better than me. One of them is at 30K per month right now, or they're just about to hit 30K per month. And then another one is, honestly, I don't know how much she's making, but she's in the multi-six figures for sure. And then there's another one who, I don't know how much she's making. I just know that she's starting to get more consistent with her income, and that's due to the coaching program that we're in. But I reached out to 3 of these coaches, and I just said, hey, I was hoping I can run some things by you. I'm struggling a bit, and I just wanted to see if I could get your thoughts. And honestly, one of those coaches, it was actually a discovery call with one of them, because I want in on her service. she's a brand strategist, and the work she does is amazing. And I know that if I leveled up my brand identity, you guys would look at my profile and be like, this is top notch. And I want that. It's just I need to first bring in an income. Like I mentioned, it's been 2 months since I've brought in any income, but this is part of the hustle. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about the 3 kind of takeaways that I took from each of these different coaches that I spoke to who are doing better than me. So the first one is, there's this relationship coach, and I'm not going to use their names, but there's a relationship coach, and he helps men save their marriages. And one of the things that I talked to him about was niche, and how I was lacking clarity in my niche. And then he shared his experience. He said, you know what, man, I know exactly what you're going through. I went through the same thing. I was targeting a specific type of guy in my messaging, and I had no, he was targeting like toxic masculinity type guys. And he's like, honestly, like I couldn't speak to that, even though that's what kind of like with our business coaches, that's what he kind of landed on in the beginning. But over, I think it was over the course of maybe like a few weeks, or maybe even less than that, couple weeks, he was like, this is not right. And that's where I was, but it took me like a month and a half, if not 2 months, to figure out like this doesn't feel right. And what I mean by not it doesn't feel right is like I was a mindset coach, or I am a mindset coach, but my primary outcome was building a financial safety net for aspiring entrepreneurs, not even people who have started their business. And the reason why I wanted to build them a financial safety net is because that's a barrier, like a mental barrier for not feeling like you have the financial stability to keep going, especially if you're older, in your 30s or 40s, you got a family. You can't just quit your job, especially if your income, if your family relies on your income to stay stable, to pay the bills, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, whatever. So my main outcome was, hey, let's build you a financial safety net, and then the mindset is secondary. And I'm like, what? It just didn't feel right. And on top of that, like, if I'm working with, or I'm trying to target aspiring entrepreneurs, these are people who haven't even taken the leap yet. And so how can I expect them to take the leap with me when they haven't even taken the leap with themselves, And so that was another thing. And so that's why I kind of had to rethink on targeting first-time founders. So these are people who are already in their business, potentially, working their 9 to 5 still, but they've taken the leap already. And I know from experience that even though you've done that, it just doesn't mean that you're like all confident, all believing that everything's going to work out just fine. Doubt still creeps in, imposter syndrome is strong, and self-confidence, it takes time to build it. And people get stuck at a certain income level if they're already making some money. Sometimes they're not, and they don't realize that they're not taking enough needle moving action. I burped a little bit. They're not taking enough needle moving action to get the results that they're looking for, and it's because they're holding themselves back. So that's kind of like the perfect spot for me to be in, because I can speak to that. I know what that's like, and I have strategies to help break out of that. So going back to this first coach, he was like, it's okay that you didn't know your niche. It sounds like you're figuring it out now, and you're more aligned than you were before, and that misalignment, that will play, that will get in your head, and that will hold you back. So now that you're clear, start pushing that needle moving action. Start pushing it. So I reworked my program. I reworked my messaging with my new kind of like ideal client, and now things are feeling better. Now I feel like I'm doing enough because I took more needle moving action this week, and I'm going to be increasing the volume of that action over the coming weeks. Now the second coach, she's a brand strategist, and one of the things that she told me that really helped was the fact that in the beginning she didn't listen to our business coaches, because we're all in the same program, we all have the same coaches, and she didn't listen to them in the beginning. And the reason was that they weren't familiar with the business that this other coach was running. She, like I mentioned, she's a brand strategist, and the coaches that we work with, they didn't have experience with brand. And so she had to wrestle with trusting her own intuition in order to get the results that she was looking for. And I think I was I was kind of like putting all of my trust in my business coaches, but even though the alignment wasn't there. And so, partly I was holding myself back, and, another part of me was kind of in my mind, I guess, kind of blaming them, but knowing that it's not their fault. Like, everything that they're doing is helping me, and they are trying to help me figure things out. But at the same time, like, I'm not coming to them with every little thing. And so just hearing this other coach's, her saying that you've got to you have to trust your intuition. And now she still uses the business coaches to help her, but now she's like, they tell me, she says, they tell me, thank God you didn't listen to us. Because she's very successful now, making multi six figures. I'm gonna work with her at some point, but I gotta earn it first. And then the last person, she's a like a combination of like mindset life coach for leaders, who are either just starting in leadership positions, or they've been in the position but they kind of overthink things that they say. They lack confidence, they freeze up, and they get really nervous, and she helps them gain clarity in and build the skills necessary to be a leader. But I talked to her about all the things that I was going through, the self-doubt, the lack of clarity in my niche, the lack of alignment. And the first thing she says is like, that is so relatable. I went through the same thing, and you kind of just got to push through it. You've got to trust yourself to like keep going, to figure it out, because that will take time. And yeah, so I pushed through it, and I'm feeling way better. If you saw last week's episode, I kind of had like a little bit of a meltdown, but feeling way better this week for sure. And yeah, community is incredibly important. And so I'm going to, in my program, I'm going to include a private community. It's going to start out on Facebook because that's free, but eventually I want to build a community on School. I love School's platform. The way they kind of lay everything out is incredible, and people are on there supporting each other, and that's where I found these coaches that I kind of reached out to. And I know the importance of community now. This is the first time I kind of like relied on community to help me push through some challenging times that I'm going through in my business. So yeah, that's it for this week. I will be back again next week at the same time. I post these every Sunday. I'm recording on Thursdays, but I post them every Sunday. So yep, for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be here sharing my thoughts, sharing my experiences, everything just completely honest. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys next week.